I'm gonna jump around because we all like this hard curated too, and so I'll shift to the piece that's next to me, and it's like it's been happy. And you want to explain your piece, and
Hi, I'm Kirsten Gazani. This is something that is a little bit different than my usual work. It's in a broad way about infant mortality for Black infants and Black mothers, and how it's very disproportionate, the numbers, and there's a lot of racism in the healthcare system that can cause a lot of stress and a lot of undue worry, which causes premature birth, stillbirth, the loss of infants. And then in a more personal way, it is my daughter's story. So my daughter would have turned 17 on June 17th, so it's her golden birthday this year. And so it's kind of a reminder that the mothers who lose these infants continue to mark time for them. So we celebrate that baby, that birthday. We celebrate every year. We add a candle, and it burns down, and there's no one there to blow it out. And as a mother, you mourn that baby at that time, but it's very strange because you also watch a child grow up at the same time. So my daughter would have been 17. My nephews were 3 months older than her. They just turned 17, so they have jobs. They're doing all this crazy stuff, about to graduate. And so you see your daughter, for me, I see her as a baby always. But I also say, oh my God, she would have loved to do this stuff with her cousins. And she would have been helping me with art stuff. I've pictured this person grow up that is not here, that no one else has seen grow up. So to me, it's kind of like a memorial, a space and time where we do continue to mark those holidays and those birthdays, and even if no one else remembers, because a baby dies and people are like, I was told, oh, you could have another one, that kind of thing. So for other people, for me, it's like they don't understand that this is still 17 years later, it's still very fresh for me. So that's what this piece represents.
I don't want to take away from your story. Kirsten normally makes so this is the departure from her traditional paper and wood cut dolls. Like you'll see the large one in the gift shop, it's in the paper one. But the comment on the cake is, how did you make the cake? Because it looks so realistic. And it's a bother to me because I love birthday cake. But how did you make that?
I'm glad it looks real because I was trying really hard. It's foam clay, so I use foam clay and then spackle to make the frosting. And so it turned out perfect. I was like, yes, don't bite it, don't lick your fingers. So.
I'm gonna skip myself. I am in the show, but I'm gonna jump to the photos that are next to Spencer's pieces by Kelvin. I met Kelvin in Baltimore at a soiree that was invited to another artist here somewhere, Mark West. And he was doing a photo shoot with Black people, like glam shots. And I was like, and then I called him a fashion photographer. He's like, no, I do more than that. So I'm gonna let him talk about the body of work that's in this show, and I can also add to why I might select it, or my storylines behind the piece.
So as you said, everyone, my name is Kelvin Bullock. I'm based in the DC area, but I travel all over. And a lot of the work that I typically do is centered around fashion, beauty, commercial work, stuff it's curated and made to be presentable or perfect, if you will. And the older that I get, specifically maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, I started to kind of feel like, I ain't gonna be here forever, and I don't have kids or anything like that. So I'm like, let me focus on just documenting the world around me, my perspective, my point of view, and I just basically started carrying around like basically it's a Fujifilm X-T1, a little mirrorless camera. I see we got a couple of shooters in here. Y'all know what it is. And so I would just make it a point to every day take a photo. It didn't matter what it was. And what that did is it started to work a muscle in me that it helped me to kind of actually see my point of view a little more clearly versus some of the more commercial work that I've created. And so all of these images that you see are things that I came upon sometimes by accident, sometimes I was there for a specific reason, like the funeral of my stepfather. And I won't go too deeply into each of those situations, but they are, in my experience, America. Like I travel quite a bit, and when I do, I keep my camera on me. I do walkabouts. I come across strangers. Sometimes they're holding weapons, and I ask to shoot them. And so, yeah, that's the gist of it.
So, in my curatorial mind, when I saw the work, there are two different bodies. There's one like, this is America and how we celebrate maybe before. And in my mind, the funeral, like veteran funeral pieces are like the overlooked contributions of Black veterans received in the U.S. But because of their sacrifice, we are allowed to have these like swings and these fireworks, and then we have leisure of just fishing and just being, and I'm the bottom of the biker, and he's like throwing a cute dog sign, but it's like these sacrifices were made so we have these luxuries and this leisure. And so it just read very American to me. And then it also captures like different types of American. Like at the top one on the screen is someone with like, looks like a hijab. And so other people who are too like excluded from this experience at times, but they do get to partake in it, and they count. And again, the sacrifices of an overlook for everybody. And then the second body of work, the horizontal, is like this transition and loss of innocence for a young Black boy to adulthood. And the story is like, the ice, some snow cone, snowball, whatever you call it, from where we are. And then he's joyful, he's running through this field, and then we come to this concept of book burning. And this is real, like this wasn't a staged image. And the loss of innocence and knowledge, and like how the U.S. beats like joy and experience out of people, and then this person is now more, he's still young, but this more adult boy now like offensive and aggressive and trying to protect his rights too. And so that's how the story played out in my mind when I selected these photos. Y'all have any questions? And y'all can like jump in too.
Yeah, I was wondering, you selected the fire photo because it's all over Instagram. What made you?
The concept of like the U.S. like regressing with all of this civil liberties that are going on, like banning books. There's an artist here who's like commenting directly on banning books. There's a lot of waste, and so this is what is really going on in America right now. And we are a joke globally, yet we're still a superpower. So it's like this contradiction that goes on. And I travel a lot, and so it's just like we're good at marketing, so they think this is literally the land of the free, but it's very expensive. We have high poverty. We're actually one of the more dangerous countries in the world, but we think other places are more dangerous. And so it's just a lot. That's how my brain works. It just goes like that. I would jump to another artist. I'm gonna jump to Manny because he has to go work, like all of us. And so he has a piece right here. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I'm Manny Lodge, and this piece, me and the homies, Bettina, Turtle, years ago, we went to Memphis. Well, we went to the South for our Birds Fly South trip, and we went to this museum that's made out of like where Martin Luther King got shot or whatever, and they had these protests and information about like the 1968 sanitation workers' strike. Yeah. But it was in sanitation or whatever. These two men got killed.
And that's the year King was assassinated. I read it assassinated.
And so I seen this like just all of these like pictures of like these men protesting, and it was like some kids in there, and I was moved by that because it was a protest based off of racism, you know, not getting paid equally, things of that nature, and it just moved me because we still go through that stuff still today, and I just use my son as my son is my muse, so I use him in a lot of my work today because, you know, that's my best creation, I feel like. So I just use him to, you know, just represent all of the emotions that I felt, just seeing that display of protest or whatever, and it, you know, it moved me, and I got a military jacket or whatever to just represent how even in the military, the black men were still like being mistreated or whatever, and, you know, even though they were fighting alongside people, so, you know. So that's basically what this jacket represents. Just like all of our sentiment with protests and how long it takes, man, how much work we put in, and still not to get the recognition is, you know, it's upsetting.
It's called I Am a Boy.
Yeah, it's called I Am a Boy. We know the word, so let's see. Thank you.
Made these masks titled 1619 Black, 1619 Brown. I've been doing research of my ancestors for quite a few years. I did so DNA here, and these represent some of my ancestors that I've never seen. Research doesn't give me images of faces, it just gives me different names. I found some paperwork of my mom's 1900 date, but it ends there at this point. I had to be able to go any further with the research of looking for people in my family background and how they got here, when they got here. So I chose date because it's a project that documented when African Americans came to America or were enslaved and sold in America. And so it still has a little burning desire for me to know more. I found out that some of my family members came from Congo and different parts of Africa. Like all the mass here, that I've been doing this for a lot of years. I'm 74 years old, but I refuse to sit down and be still. It's like health sometimes, might slow me down, but I'm working. And so if you look at these pieces, you'll see pain, sorrow, hurt, depression. I don't think any face is similar from the black or brown. And the black and the brown represents the abuse that men or women had to suffer, and our pigment changes during the course of time. Because I have ancestors in Europe also, and that's amazing to know all this. But I don't know none of it. So my research continues, you know. And any questions? We got a lot of answers. These are canvas, wood, and acrylic paint, gesso. Usually I create my mask with clay, but I create these with canvas, gesso, and it took me longer than the clay. Actually, see, the canvas stayed wet a lot longer than I anticipated. I did most of these during the pandemic. This I only showed them last year. Because I had time at home, so every day I would create a mask. I got in trouble because I trashed the living room. I had to buy a new living room set. Trash the carpet. Gesso don't come out of clothes either. If you're an artist and you use canvas, gesso, once it gets in your clothes, it's a piece of art. Your clothes turn into a piece of art. So I have furniture that looks like art now. How about that? So, any questions yet? Okay.
What does the chain symbolize on there?
Bondage. Yeah, bondage, you know. Coming across the ocean, the seas, we were still in bondage.
That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna jump to turtle. Turtle, please, kind of turtle behind me.
I don't even know what to say about my work.
What is it? What is it represent?
It's been so long since I've been in the art show. I don't even know what to say. So most of my pieces over there, I did 3 prints of this character that I created on my iPad, and I tried to do kind of like stereotypical black, like male things represent like, I don't know, I kind of get my own glove, and then like the brand is supposed to be like kind of be like a practical joke, like I was like always kind of like a practical joke of like in America when they're trying to do something, they're never really taken serious. So I try to like make my character be like, oh, I'm here, present myself in this way, but you're not taking me that way. So yeah, it's like well, the attempt to act, I guess, and I think it also kind of goes with the theme of the piece anyway, where it's like we're trying to do something and it doesn't work out.
The titles are called Jokes on Me.
Yeah, jokes on me. Can't come before that.
So, her name was 9 years old, jump to a relation which will make us like always in that time.
I'm originally from Chicago, and I moved here a few years ago when I was my age. This piece on the wall, there's a name on don't like have one to be there, which I really like. So it's kind of like going to like my original upbringing of church and my original church space that I just really existed in. And yes, it's just that's just the most side. And then inside the other room,
I'm gonna jump to that. You can start with, I'll really quickly explain to you the time on the church. And then I'll put that into it, because I don't know what that specific payroll is called, but I'm figuring. But Emmanuel speaks to, Emmanuel is a Mexican American, and he's talked about how, his parents tried to assimilate into the U.S. culture, especially with Christianity, but it never worked. That they never fully realized, and never fully integrated into the system. And so it's made out of glistening soul and wax. It like you touch it, it moves, and he's okay with that. But you see like which exists through the wax. And so curatorial wise, I'm like, okay. And then the color of the wax with the 3D printed toys too. And then like it kind of points to streets, church plans that are in the entrance hallway at the gallery. So we'll jump there and like move around. Come on in. I'm gonna hold the door open so it won't get so hot. Come on. Don't be shy. You can go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Rodriguez Davis. People call me Greek because it's easier than Rodriguez. I am a mixed media found object artist primarily, but I do a lot of photography, digital media, and a variety of other things. I'm currently the department head for visual performing arts at Grambling State University. Visual arts, theater, and dance. The pieces that were selected for this show are pieces actually that I started in grad school, post a job that I was working with Upward Bound through the TRIO program. The short version of the story is that I was preparing a lesson on Emmett Till for some students, and one of the students in the class said that he had heard about Emmett Till through a Kanye West song, and it immediately caused me to ask, why haven't you not learned this in history class? And so, in preparation for grad school, I was thinking, what kind of work could I make that could speak to this chasm between the educational system and what people may or may not be learning at home? And how do we determine what individuals we put our trust in when it comes to receiving and seeking information? And so I distilled that into social icons and political icons. And thinking about the relationship between Martin and Malcolm and Biggie and Tupac, I thought those would be the preeminent representations of that period of time, of contemporary individuals that people would resonate with when they saw them on an actual church band, they picked them up in a pew. And so that's where those pieces came from. And over time, that series has mutated. I've done probably about 40 different versions of fans at this point. Some collage, some on roofing paper, some fabric, and a whole host of other things. But they all come back to the same theme of the dissemination of information, propagation of ideas, supplication, meditation, all those things that are woven in the work that I make.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Don't.
I have a comment. These were actually my favorite pieces when I walked in here. I really liked how familiar it was, and I really liked the wood carvings and the handles. It really looked handmade, and just the overall shape of it. Great work.
Thank you.
This was my favorite one right here. This one because this one felt like the most real. Like it's what I would see with a fan, but then I also liked how you did different versions of it. It offered something different.
Well, because I work with collage, I always want to make sure that people understand that a real person made this, that it's not, computerized in any form or fashion. Talk about the evidence of the artist's hand in the making of the thing. But also, I want the fans to kind of feel like they might be aged, like they've been sitting in a pew and somebody spilled, coke on it or something really got bent up and stomped on. That it wasn't something that was brand new and pristine, that they've been just sitting there waiting for something to come along and pick up.
I didn't mean new as in like newness of it. I mean like the subject matter.
Yeah, I got you.
Like I was feeling like like I could see like those. I don't know if they had them in the '60s. I don't know if they had them. They probably did.
Yeah, the family.
The fans?
Yeah.
Oh.
Got the family. But I understand what you're saying, but I'm thinking about the aesthetic of the thing. I'm trying to make anything that feels like it's brand new. I wanted to feel, like it had a life. Especially thinking about mixed media and found things. This is what we always talk about. Does the material have a life before you turn it into something else? And I want to try to make sure that resonates. So, questions, comments, criticisms? This is like class. Don't everybody speak at once. Okay. Thank you.
Sir?
Yes. And we lose Fatima.
Sorry, I was causing a fire in my own
Oh, they're putting out a fire, right?
I got it.
You good? Did you start?
No, not yet, but I will.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
It's all right. Hi, everyone. My name is Eric Salgado. I'm from Chicago. This is the piece that I made. I've got some notes on it. So the sign itself in the 90s, because between 1987 and 1990, a bunch of immigrants crossing got hit by cars, died, so they started putting these up. It used to be just a text sign that said people are crossing, people be careful, but motorists weren't able to read it on time, so they commissioned this designer John Hood in 1990 to create this caution sign. So the last one came down in 2018, and I appropriated the sign and spray painted the American flag yellow. Signal yellow is the name of the actual spray can color. And then I hand painted the migrant crossing sign over it. And the reason for it is just topically in Chicago, the influx of migrants in Chicago being like a sanctuary city. There have been a lot more migrants in Chicago, and the piece itself isn't to be biased, but it's to do exactly what the original intention was, which was to create awareness, create conversation. It's kind of got like, it's a sign, creates awareness, but I also wanted to create awareness about this topic in America at the time, for people to just, make conversation about it.
Eric was also one of the very first exhibit artists in the very first This is America show 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So he had a whole brick installation too, where he spray painted like a bunch of bricks with the American flag.
Yeah, the American flag. I built a wall, spray painted the American flag, and then disassembled the wall and created like a big pile of bricks inside the gallery for people to like grab a brick, take it home. I've gotten messages from random people who have a piece of the brick in their home still, so it's really nice to know that piece, even though it's living in my studio, there's pieces of it in other places. But spray paint, because I'm a graffiti writer, it seems to find its way into every part of my process somehow.
Graffiti writer, that sounds so formal.
No.
Keep the man off you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll transition into the other side. Mark, once they pass, we can talk about your piece. I don't have one.
I made this piece right here on that wall. It's the lion that's in the cage. And a little bit about myself. My name is Mark West. I'm from Baltimore. And I'm a visual artist, muralist, historian. Right now I'm really into making assemblage, which is kind of like collage, but you add more stuff than just paper and fabric on it. So I might find windows in the street. I might add some metal to it. If I see something, I'm always looking down and seeing what sticks out to me and putting it on it. I'm also based in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and I have an art studio down there, and I do exhibitions from time to time. I'm planning another one in November with Baltimore artists and Brazilian artists. That's my passion. About this piece here, this piece is called Stolen from Africa, and it shows a lion that's kept in a cage. And I studied a little bit in the University of Ghana. We saw the slave castles, and below all of the slave forts, they have where they kept black people in these cages. Very, very horrible experience. 6 feet of poop, people was in those cages. And living like animals, just like cows, like you would see in the factories. The reason why they kept them in such filth is because they wanted to only bring the strongest black people. So they said, let's subject them to this filth so that the weak ones can die off, because they didn't want to carry anyone that wasn't strong enough for that journey. So they really kept them in those cages for a long time. So, and this piece is called Stolen from Africa. It's a lion / tiger, but it kind of also looks like a woman. And it's kind of playing into that, like, is it an animal? Is it a woman? Is it a person? Do we treat it like a person? Should it be in the cage? Should it not?
Thank you.
Oh, and a lot of my pieces, I paint black people, and I put the clay nose. That's something that is iconic with my work. So also has the clay nose on the piece too.
What's behind the clay nose?
When I first put the clay nose, a lot of people really liked it, and it allowed me to add some personality to the piece. I paint mostly black people, and we have noses, big noses. So, some of them.
Just joking. Well, I'm gonna jump in now since we're talking about like caricatures of black people. And so this piece is mine. This is the fourth fence that I did. This series is called When They See Us. When we move, sorry. When they see us move next door, and then this one is called Affordable Housing. So it's supposed to be, again, caricatures of what traditionally white but outside people think about when neighboring black people or people of color move next door. And so this one is like, oh, we don't want them next door, they're gonna bring our property values down. Look at these single mothers with all these bad 8 kids running around, and then like the one male who might be in a situation and how they're holding it down, and the proliferation of these signs as integration started happening. And so it's actually a deconstruction of community and a way to police people, and it's actually interactive. And on the other side, it's white with stenciled white roses for what they believe that they see and present to the world, like this clean look. There is some distraction on purpose, but on top of everything is white. But you'll see a black, very heavy duty lock. Again, the proliferation of that too, to keep these intruders out. Like, they think we're gonna steal everything. They think we want what's there, and so and the cost of it too. And so that's my piece. They recently featured in my solo show earlier in the year. And then on the other side is the second edition of Miss American Pie, which is my performance piece that I worked with like younger artists. This one was with Pedro and Gutierrez. And it's a thrifted, what do I call, like a county fair leotard. And so I said, if I put on this exaggerated Americana and perform, will you accept me? Can I have a house? Will you leave me alone in my house? Will you let me, exist in society? And so I do this dance on a lot of foreclosed homes around my neighborhood. And then in this specific one, the city has given a lot of these homes to Habitat for Humanity, which is a large entity gentrifying the neighborhood over here instead of giving it to residents to generate the economy with and not be evicted and destabilize themselves. And so again, it's just like this exaggerated performance that I do. Like, if I'm American enough, can I have this? Just like you. And so with that, I've overlapped my own haikus about gentrification and other things, and the loss of home and valuables like photos, and how a lot of times when they tear homes down, they just bury this stuff and they'll build a new home on top of it. And so if you dig, you will find the existence of another civilization or people, ended under the home. And that's me talking, and now I'm gonna transition to Nina, who was also in the recent abstract show with Chuck.
I just had a question. The people that were this, the first piece is actually falling off the wall. So if you like to see the proper way of installation, if you can go on my website, you see the better photo. I'm going to talk about the work in the white frame. I made that one in 2019 during Trump's presidency. And as I was watching the news, listening to him, apart from his policy, I thought, how can a person, an adult person, go on national TV and give permission to himself to publicly discard others, make fun of people, and he's supposed to be the role model. So I could not accept the way that he was talking. I would not let my own child talk in this way. So I thought this is just absurd, this is not acceptable, regardless of his policy. So I started to collect some of his absurd quotes that he was saying. And I thought our skies, in my head, the skies are so dark and cloudy, but I knew that these dark clouds will eventually go and the skies will become clear again at the end of these, really dark days. And the experience was as I was writing this quotes, this paper was sitting on our formal dining table, and I'm working and writing on this. And our daughter, who was in high school at the time, she would walk into the house with a bunch of her friends, and they would just not knowing what is this work about. They would start reading the sentences, and I've noticed that all of them would start to laugh, literally, like, what are these? And then I thought, these are really, really funny to take them out of the context. Like, I too have a nuclear button and mine works. And two 5-year-olds are comparing like their toys together. And this is really not funny. There is a dark humor, but at the same time, whoever walked into the house, they would just read and they would literally start to laugh at these quotes. That these are like funny, but not funny. But it seems that our skies are getting towards the darker days again. So this work becomes really relevant today. So thank you for including this work, and I hope this stays clear.
The irony about this piece, while I was setting up yesterday, my friend was like, "Are you watching this debate?" And I was like, "No, I'm working. I'm setting up the show, but I don't even want." He said it's horrific, and that piece, I was like, it's too timely, unfortunately. But one of the questions I have for you, my mind doesn't work like that. I can't produce like that. It's too detailed and too small. Do you have a pattern in math, or you just free flow? And
this was for this. I did not have a pattern. I did not draw the clouds because I wanted it to come naturally to me. So I put the paper on the wall and I started to write from the top. I knew that composition and the clouds needed to be really large at the top, and they become denser and smaller towards the bottom of the paper. But then I've noticed that writing on the wall was really hard, too much pressure on my neck and my hand. Then I had to put it on the table and start working on it. So I had to walk around the table and then write on this side and then write on this side. But as when a painter works on a painting, then I had to put it on the wall and look at it from a distance to make sure that I have enough density of the words where I needed them to be. So it would go on the wall and on the table back and forth until it was done.
any more questions? Questions?
It was all pen, right?
Pen on paper.
Hi, I'm new to the space. I did come in while you were explaining, Did you say that it's more so like clouds, higher dimension clouds? I think that's beautiful. The first thing I thought I was like brains. I started to read the words,
Yeah,
and then it started to look more of like a mind thing. I just think it's really beautiful.
could be like a twisted brain who produces these, absurd codes. You could see it that way too.
I was thinking, because when I saw it, I'm like, does that, when you started to create the clouds, does that also come into mind? Were there any other, like, images or imagery that popped into mind as you started to create, like, the shading around?
No, my idea was these dark days are gonna pass from our skies eventually. It's not gonna stay forever. It's like a very stormy weather, but it's not gonna be here forever. That was the idea. So I was trying to create the image of the stormy skies and clouds. But it seems like they're returning. Thank you.
On trend with our political work, we're going to shift to the works that are underneath the show title This is America.
My name is Claudia Mason. I am a Mexican American artist. I live and work in North Texas, but I like to, travel and meet new friends and new communities of artists and art lovers. And well, this is two different spots of works, as Fatima was saying. These are part of a series that I call Release, because it started as a small poem that I wrote when the book banning movement took force in 2022. And in Texas, it was very strong, and then I learned that it was also in other parts of America. And Release is books banned by the blind. They don't want to see, they don't want others to see. So that's why I made these books, like you cannot read them, you cannot open them, they are taped, and also the potential readers or the authors that are mostly, the authors that are that wrote these books are people of color. So they are silencing both voices of the authors. They are preventing young people to learn about other experiences, to learn about their own identity by identifying with these authors. So it's really a big problem, I believe, for our school system in general. And Release, this is after Toni. It's after Toni Morrison, because The Bluest Eye is the, I don't know if you're familiar with that novel. That's the top, in the top 10 or top 5 banned books in America. And I love that book. And I remember watching one interview with Toni saying that she wrote that book because she couldn't find any novel that will make her feel identified with the character. It was always the person of color. It was always like the main, the secondary character, never the people experiencing the main story of the book. So for me, it was very touching. Even though I am Mexican American, I identified a lot with that book. I loved it, and it really broke my heart knowing that young people couldn't have the experience of identifying with the color, the main character. And that's mirror. If you know the story, you might remember why there is a mirror over there, or you can ask. And this is based on, this is Trees After Ashley. It's after a book by Latina author Ashley Hope Perez. Also, her book is on the top, on the list of the top banned books in America, and is called Art of Darkness. It's about Mexican American young teenager just trying to survive in North Texas, and with many things, including discrimination, abuse, going on in her life, and that's another book that is banned. So And researching about the banned books, and I started to think about the silenced voices, the discrimination through banning books, and also the discrimination through omission, like in the history that is not written, the history that is not taught. And I call this piece History 101, U.S. history, but is us also reads as U.S., so it's history without us, U.S. history without us. And yeah, it's just kind of whitewashed. Tons of books and histories and stories that unfortunately might get lost if we don't transmit them from generation to generation, because many of them are not recorded or not available in books. And this is another series. It's called AMMO series, as short for ammunition. And I started this series after the Uvalde mass shooting in Texas. That was in 2022. And, well, all of them are terrible, but that specifically, it was very close to home, and it broke my heart. And it got me researching about gun violence and the kind of ammunition used in these kinds of incidents, and how ironic it is that it's used as a symbol of freedom when it's actually what's one of the main things that is preventing us to have freedom in our communities, and how easy is the access to them legally and illegally. I mean, and I made different pieces. I used the Jenga giant blocks because I found a lot of relation with gun issues and this. Jenga is a board game that we all have in our homes. As in Texas, many people have guns in their homes, just as normal as any board game. And also the fact of is playing Jenga, if you remember, is stacking and removing pieces one by one, just as bullets, just as lots, because it seems like it's a game that has no end. When, regardless of the party, sometimes it's just removing and putting pieces one by one. And if you think about it, Jenga is not a game about winning, but about who loses first. So in this case, I think that's the situation with gun violence. And short parenthesis, I'm having a solo show in September. Fatima so kind of invited me to have a solo show. So I'll have an interactive big Jenga piece. So it's going to be fun. I invite you to come and play and reflect and have a good time as we chat about these. I'll have many other pieces. I use dolls also as to reflect on the juxtaposition of us treating as the artist saying about the tiger, that could be a woman, how we treat, are we animals, are we people? So it's a little bit similar to that sense, because are we dolls or are we humans? So it's that also kind of reflection, and I'll have many other body support that I will look forward to share. And I don't know if you have questions about this.
I don't have a question, but comments. I love them individually, but also collectively. I really wondered. I was like, okay, that doesn't feel the same as this. I'm glad that you distinguished. The books alone, I'm wondering like the heartache of having to strap your own favorite books closed, and then pulling out the iconography. This sculpture was all over Instagram too, and I'm like, finally being able to see it in person. Thank you. I think so much of what each of us are doing is like being able to author our own stories, and as a show primarily for Black and brown people, but still understanding that people who are much younger than us only get to see the stories from us because they're actively taking them out of their classrooms. And I think that's why I was so interested in your picture of the book burning and being this flyer, because your team has brought us back into the classroom, and so many of you, and it's just like, okay, what are we being taught? What lesson plans do we hate? What new ones are we creating and curating?
And I think even at our big ages, these are still questions to be asked. I'm like, okay, what was the blue side talking about? Are we still in conversation with someone else? Yeah, so thank you.
We're gonna jump to more literary / visual art over here. The Black Joy Project by who's not here.
Yeah, my collage is about my girlhood and like the joy of that. A lot of my girlhood, even like the way I started making art was in like beauty salons or like the wig store because I was always with my mom. She would go to Chicago has these like weird, or used to have these like malls in the hood where it was like you go there. Yeah. They got like you can go get like fries with mouth sauce and your t-shirts were painted. Yeah, it was so fresh.
And tacos and fries.
And I used to be in there all the time with like my mom, and we were just close to the people that were doing her hair. And I would sit there, and she would show me how to draw like different random things that were real simple, like dogs and cats. And I remember she was teaching to me, and anytime I was with my mom to like get my hair done, or sit with them while they tried on wigs, I would just sit there drawing like dogs and cats and stuff. And it really set off a lot of my passion for art, and that just like a sense of girlhood for me. And like what it really meant to like feel like a black girl in the salon. It's just a real sacred space for me. There's a picture of someone using a digital camera and a Boys and Girls Club shirt, and Boys and Girls Club again another big significant thing to my like childhood and digital cameras because I was always the family picture taker. I'd be like, Mom, just give me the camera. I know what I'm doing. So that was that part. And then you'll see like a little cutout of the 18th train stop because you gotta take the train if you live in Chicago. Yeah, that was my piece that got included. I think it's in like the beginning of the Black
Yeah, it was
Joy part.
earlier.
Yeah.
You don't know, do I need to find the page number? I found it. And Destiny knows her page number. What's your page number?
49.
Any questions? Otherwise, we can, and your page number is that 2? Oh, 4. 4, I'm lying, see? Number 4. All right, talk about your piece and pieces.
Okay. Hi everybody, my name is Destiny Brady. I am also from Chicago, just like Asia, and I graduated from architecture school up here from UW-Milwaukee, magna cum laude. But I'm since 2021 back home in Chicago and actually preparing for another big move to London to complete my master's in curating come August. So pretty excited about that. Like Fatima mentioned, the piece that's in the book is this one. This is number 3, media cycle number 3. So I graduated at the brink of the pandemic. It was a pretty crunchy time, and we were all forced into consumption. And so I'm just forced to look at all these things and like, okay, what is it? And I had to make big decisions, like 21, what am I going to do next? And so I was like, architecture doesn't do enough. It doesn't ask enough of the questions. It presents too many finite answers. And then I found a love of curating, of ensemble work, of assemblage, thinking of the concerted effort of coming from a big family. And so I was able to create the 6 of these. They're called media site plans. So if I'm ever to not exist, this is where you can find me. This to be a map. But not just for everybody else, but for me too. I am blessed, multifaceted. I am an architect, an independent curator, a film photographer, a writer, a land steward, a sister, a daughter, some of my favorite titles. But an au pair. Okay. Did that before. But being able to act as this young woman in each of the pieces, because I think in any of the titles that I give, it's not even my degrees or my CV that accounts for why I'm so successful. It's because I've been living my life and I've been present and I've been looking and I've been observing. And So you'll see each of them. This was the first one, and it took me the longest because I was like, curate was easy, but I'm like, why do we do that? Why do we curate? Why are we looking at these things? Why do we put them the way that we do? And so it's difficult to see because it's tiring. But one of my favorite fashion designers, Ibrahim Kamara, who works with Louis Vuitton, Off-White, don't quote me. He does a lot of cool, like, eccentric art these days. And I was looking at a lot of his work because he works in androgynous fields, and I'm like, okay, questioning my own identity. Not in a way of, I'm not sure who I am, but I want to know what else I am. So being able to put that into the piece, and then going on to myself as a young girl, and the first story that I was told about Ruby Bridges, and her not even being the first. My story went about Leona Tate and the McDonald Foundation. She's created down there in Louisiana, and being able to work on that as like one of my final architectural projects. And to this one, I was in the book, but that is in the book. I was elated when Peter reached out about it, because I'm like, I was 23 at the time, no, it was in the book. But I've always wondered if who cared for Marsha P. Johnson, who wiped her tears, who held her tight. Everybody just looking at her, who actually saw her. And then over to this one, like I told you, very multifaceted, a lot of loves. Into theater, we have a number of closed down theaters in Chicago. I'm just like, man, these can be refurbished into community centers. We got a lot of indie filmmakers, and we're like, let's just bring this medium back to us instead of it being taken. This one is about my family. You'll see the triptych is the woman who Aunt Jemima is based off of. So reclaiming that and then putting my own little family in there, my grandmother paternal and my grandmother maternal. And again, I'm just looking. Because for all these years I've just been here and I'm standing, I'm trying to, curate this into something that means more than it's supposed to. And then the last one probably connects directly to what Ladaisia's is. My identity. I remember when I cut my hair off in school and my mama hurt her heart. Why did you? How could you? And I remember sending her those photos and she's like, man, you haven't smiled that bright since you were a little girl. And so this all being a really pretty and eloquent version of being able to say, like, this is me. So yeah, I'm super grateful for the team. The project is called For Us, By Us. And I'm like, I'm a queen of pivoting. So I'm like, if I'm getting too upset with all of the oppressive systems in place for LGBTQIA, that community, then I'm like, all right, let's pick another fight. All right, now let's talk about racial injustices and environmental injustices that my family has had to go through. I'm too upset about that. Let's move on to, and so being able to move and converse within these spirits of myself and of the world that I've been able to consume, I consider myself very grateful. Any questions? No? Thank you.
Thanks. Thank all the artists. Again, a lot of them commuted here from long distances and been working with me multiple times over the months and years. And the repeat visitors and the new visitors, and then like traveling through the space right now, I know can get hot and congested, and just being flexible and about how you experience art too, right? And that's the purpose and the value of this space, is to show value where it was lacking or overlooked. And the purpose of this exhibition. And so the show will be up until, thank you, and then Claudia will have a solo show after that with another group show going on at the same time. Again, this book talk with Cleaver will actually be flying in to talk about the book, and we wanted to highlight the works.
It's kind of crazy.
Page 49 and page 4. But yeah, I went out and bought like 10 copies right away after I found out in collaboration with Women Pattern, but on July 20th, 1 to 2:30, people will be in to talk about the book. So you are welcome to now roam and like go probe more, find the artists and bother them more, engage with them more. And there's wine and we're gonna be